It is always a great pleasure to return to discuss the truths that already exist. These are the fundamental truths that deeply reside inside of you. And when you listen to them, you will naturally recognize them. But they're already there. The deep fundamental truth you possess right now is the inner compass that serves you in this very moment. This is exactly the kind of profound guidance you need. Many times, you might think you don't know how to solve your own life or how to handle certain difficult and complex issues that constantly arise in your path. It can feel overwhelming at times, but that's just something in your mind because in reality, your own inner truth, the one you have right now in this very moment, is already more than enough for you to know exactly what you should or shouldn't do and the wisest possible choice to make for yourself at that specific time. So, everything you need, you truly already have. But to fully acknowledge and recognize this, you really need to consciously release and let go of your fears and doubts. You need to let go of illusions because it is often those very things that mislead and steer you away from what would be much simpler, significantly easier, and far more natural for you to do. Today is, for many people, a difficult and challenging day, a deeply painful day for everyone. But this painful day, it is only so incredibly painful because of the fact that you are still deeply submerged within a state of illusion. Whenever people claim that death is an illusion, that's absolutely true, but only in a relative sense, because in reality, the transition is not an illusion. It's real. However, death is an illusion. And honestly, that is exactly what confuses people a lot, since they often tend to believe that the transition and death are the same thing. But in reality, they are not. Death is an elaborate illusion created by the mind, deeply rooted within the profound fear of losing what we cherish. The transition is something normal, natural. It's part of the transformation of the universe. Everything that exists is cyclical. Everything that exists is made of energy and transforms. You lose this perception that absolutely everything changes because you've lost the fundamental capacity to see yourself as one with everything that exists. It is this unique ability to perceive the nature of life from a perspective of absolute oneness is what makes you truly believe that death exists. It makes you a vulnerable and easy target for the persistent and deceptive illusion of being separate. This is largely because death itself serves as a powerful and ultimate symbol of our perceived separation from one another. And so, just like separation itself, it is part of the illusion of duality. It is not part of oneness. Oneness says that everything always exists, that everything already is. Everything has already been created. Everything is here, and soon it won't be anymore because it's somewhere else. Everything that I'm saying is actually a piece of information. The information you encounter often makes you awaken the deeply dormant truths that lie within your own mind. But what I am saying to you right now should never be interpreted or seen as the absolute truth, because it's only true when it's real for you. And reality is not what you can see, but what you can feel. There's a big difference in that, everything. You see the physical passage with your own two eyes, and so you naturally convince yourself that there was a real and definite separation, primarily because your limited human feelings and your personal truth still cannot fully grasp or even begin to comprehend all the vast, infinite energy of oneness. Consequently, you find that you simply cannot feel that profound sense of oneness within your own heart. And that is exactly why you continue to believe that death is standing right there, waiting for you at the very end of the road, always one step away from you. Something that exists today, tomorrow doesn't exist anymore, and that's it, it's over. But oneness says something else. Oneness says that everything is always transforming. You, other people, other things, the universe as a whole, are constantly transforming at every moment. If today there's a genuine requirement or necessity for something to come into being, it will exist. If at some point in the future that need no longer exists in this reality, it will also cease to exist. Because every single thing that currently exists in our world, everything that exists in a very specific and particular state that is unfolding in its own unique and specific manner only happens because it absolutely must occur in that exact way. Otherwise, it simply would not exist at all. In no way would it ever exist. It would only still remain as pure energy rather than taking on a physical or tangible form. From the very moment that you first incarnate into this world, you inherently possess everything you need within yourself to develop the unique and personal journey you wish to experience throughout your lifetime. Once you have successfully accomplished your goals, which are not physical, your goals are actually never physical when you take on a physical form. And this is important for you to understand. What you call the traditional and natural order of passing away peacefully is the idea that children shouldn't die before their parents, is also part of the illusion. Because children are complex human beings, exactly the same way you are. They shouldn't have to adhere to one specific set of rules. That's because rules are something mental. They are not part of cosmic laws. A rule is nothing more than a simple line drawn by the collective human mind. And this rule is actually not a part of, of something that is universal. Because if it were, it would always happen that way. No matter who or when, it would happen. But you can see in your reality that it's not like that. Sometimes the parents Sometimes the parents pass away first, and sometimes the children pass away first. So essentially, this means that it is not actually part of a formal law. Rather, it is part of a deeply ingrained mental rule. And this is incredibly important for you to understand because as you start to grow up and mature, this persistent illusion is passed on to you as something supreme, an absolute and undeniable truth that parents must always die before their children. And this creates a profound sense of deep confusion and uncertainty for those individuals who are earnestly seeking a deeper spiritual path. Because even with the vast wealth of knowledge and detailed information they have gathered about the etheric world and what happens in the afterlife once we transition from this physical realm, even with so much information, still, this deeply ingrained mental rule has a profound and lasting influence on most people. Consequently, they feel it is inherently and deeply unnatural for a young child to pass away before their parents. They think it's not natural for a young person to die. They think it's not natural for a young person to become a widow, or perhaps even a widower. They think it's just not natural for an orphaned child to exist in this world. And all of this happens because of this deeply limiting and restrictive beliefs, this illusion created by the entirety of the human collective, created by the collective human mind, saying that there are basic rules for dying and that anything outside of that is simply not considered normal or acceptable. And I can assure you with absolute certainty that the only true normality in the entire universe is that absolutely anything can happen because everything can change in an instant. This is because your journey is not something visible to the naked eye, nor is it something you can touch or hold in your hands, something tangible. Your journey, in its essence, is made up of frequencies, of vibrations, and energy. You get to determine which frequencies you are currently lacking, which frequencies you want to cleanse and purify, the ones you want to leave behind, and the ones you want to add. But they are not part of specific situations. They are not part of time itself. They are not part of the calendar, and they are not part of the human mind. Instead, they are unique frequencies that exist only within your own consciousness, eternally connected to the vast Akashic record. So please understand that you and anyone else who is incarnated on Earth today will eventually pass on once you reach a certain specific energetic level. This happens when you truly believe that everything you could have possibly done on your journey in terms of frequency has finally been completed. And you must realize that the things left unfinished right now will simply be done in a future next incarnation. So that is how it actually works. Incarnation and disincarnation. Incarnation takes place when you fully realize that you have every single thing you could possibly need right at that moment for you to incarnate into this world. And you disincarnate when you are absolutely certain that everything has already been done and that what you could never do, because time has passed, the frequency has passed, the moment has passed, and it will be done in another incarnation. When this certainty comes, you disincarnate. Right now, in this current moment in time, there are a significantly larger number of individuals disincarnating and not returning to this planet than there were just a few short decades ago. Today, people are awakening brand new frequencies within their own consciousness and are liberating themselves completely from this repetitive karmic cycle. Some, though certainly not all, but some are truly finishing up every single little thing they actually need to do. While many others are being guided elsewhere because of their own unique frequency. They traveled to other distant planets to have various other experiences and to finally complete these long cycles that, under the conditions that exist here on this planet in the human body, will no longer be available. But that's not really what's important. The most important thing for you to know on your journey is the fact that you are truly real and that you are eternal. The concept of death is an ultimate illusion, and transformation is the fundamental and primary nature of the universe. Absolutely everything you need to experience will always be readily available for you to find. There is no time or space limiting you from experiencing what you need to experience. The healing you need to do will consistently be accessible to you, the precise and perfect solution you need, because everything in the universe is an integral component of this system of vibration and alignment. It's a cosmic law. That's why no one ceases to exist. That is exactly why all living beings transform, just like every single thing that exists in this world. And that is why love is completely and fully accessible to each and every human being at every single moment throughout the entire duration of our existence. Everything is always ready to be nourished, aligned, transcended, and transformed. The suffering over death exists only because you still haven't understood that everything is part of the whole, that everything is the greater Father, and that everything is simply transforming. Whoever's here is here because they have the frequency to be. Whoever is no longer here isn't because they no longer have the frequency to be here. This doesn't make anyone good or bad, or someone who won or someone who lost. It essentially simply means that vibrational beings are exactly where they should be, or alternatively, are not where they shouldn't be. This profound understanding completely frees not only you and your mind, but it truly liberates your entire being from this collective illusion called death. And when you finally free yourself from this deeply ingrained collective illusion and misunderstanding of what we call death, you will find yourself naturally and automatically beginning to come into direct contact with an infinitely broader and much more refined, higher vibrational frequency, which is the profound and true appreciation of what it really means to experience life. Why? The constant fear of dying makes you completely stop appreciating life. And you don't appreciate life only when every little thing is going the way you want. But you appreciate it in every moment, in every experience. Every day when everything is fine, or every day when it's not. You appreciate life because you understand existence, without necessarily needing all your beliefs to be completely fulfilled. You appreciate your existence and your entire life experience. You cherish the very air you breathe into your lungs, and you even find value in the goals and dreams that you haven't quite achieved yet. You truly love every single aspect of life with everything it has to offer you. You find meaning within the complex nature of duality, whether you are living within a season of great abundance or one of profound scarcity. But the truth is that you can only truly live your life in this incredibly intense and meaningful way when you finally choose to completely abandon the paralyzing fear of your own death. And today, the fear of death is much more widespread. It has always been very broad, but today, even, the most fundamental thing that shouldn't intimidate you, for most people, it scares them. The unfortunate reality of losing your job, or the simple fact that someone unexpectedly wants to leave your life, or even the simple fact that someone says the photo you posted doesn't look quite as beautiful as you thought it was. That fear, the persistent feeling of not being good enough, is actually a fundamental part of the grand illusion of the fear of death. And the more you let go of this fear, the more you will find that you are truly able to find the deep beauty in life. And the more you begin to discover the beauty in life, the more you detach yourself from the deceptive illusion, from separation, which is the cradle of duality.